Well, see you later.
Wow. Just like that.
Just that short, huh?
Wow, there is.
You guys are hard.
No fond feelings, no cherished memories of Ronald Leary and his time spent here with the Broncos? Huh. Ronald Leary cut loose by the Broncos. He saves the Broncos some $8 million on the cap. So does this go down as a John Elway free agent whiff?
Wow. Ultimately, it really didn't work out, right? He's a good player, Mike. He's a good player he had some injury history coming in. So it's hard for me to say he's a whiff because he's a good player that you took a gamble on, and he ended up spending a lot of time hurt. But it's hard. That's a hard one. It wasn't like he didn't play hurt. It wasn't like he had to emotionally get ready. I mean, he showed up and played hurt. So I can't look at this one. Other than he had some injury history coming in, but he was a really good player, Mike, a really good player, and he had played with that stuff. I can't call that a whip.
But isn't that part of what you have to recognize when you go into free agency is that you can't ignore a guy's history and think it'll magically be different here. Because you're right. Leary, in his last 2 years in Dallas, played in 4 and 13 games.
Mm-hmm.
Comes to Denver, and he played in 11, 6, and 12. It's kind of like Bryce Callahan. When Bryce Callahan ends up missing all of last year, should you really be surprised when you look at the previous years and see how many games he missed? I mean, one of the talents that a player has is his availability, his durability. I mean, that's something that has to go into the evaluation of, do I draft a player, do I trade for a player, or in this case, do I sign a player? And to ignore it or to think it's magically going to be different here, and then it turns out it isn't, that's on you.
I'm probably a bit biased, Mike, because I filled physicals in Chicago, Atlanta, and Indianapolis before Mike said pass him. And so, like, I wouldn't have had a career honestly, I wouldn't have had a career if it wasn't for Mike Shanahan saying, hey, doctors, ignore his health issues, because I believe that he'll line up and play for us. And so I'm probably a little bit biased on that because everybody's got some injury history, but Ronald Leary was still a good player. He just, he just had some unfortunate health situations.
Next on the Morning Brew.
But I liked what we were creating, and I liked what we were giving up to actually through the first 2 periods. But again, we needed to capitalize on a couple of those chances, and even in overtime, we have a couple of chances to capitalize on 2 points. But sometimes that's the way it goes.
Yeah, the point that got away, and this time of year, every point is important as you're trying to catch and surpass St. Louis for the top spot in the division and top spot in the Western Conference, and the Avalanche let that point get away in overtime as they lost to Anaheim 4-3, and it just seemed inevitable. The Avalanche were buzzing in overtime. McKinnon was rocketing around the ice. They hit 2 posts, but Ryan Miller made a couple of big-time saves. One on McKinnon that I was labeled, another one on Samuel Girard, and then despite dominating overtime, here comes Ricard Raquel, if that's your real name.
Mm-hmm.
With very little left in the tank, just kind of skates down the other end, puts a slap shot on Francouz with 2 seconds left in overtime and scores.
I know.
Tough one.
Raquel Welch could have hit a better shot than that. Hey, how many eggs in the basket do they have?
Eggs in the basket?
Yeah, how many eggs in the basket?
Oh, you mean games in hand?
Yeah.
The all-important games in hand.
The all-important eggs in my basket.
I'm glad you brought that up. They are 2 points behind St. Louis with 1 game in hand. I'm telling you, it's going to come. It'll probably come down to the last game of the regular season, Saturday afternoon, here in Denver, Avalanche and Blues. And wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be awesome.
Next on the Morning Brew.
You lose. Good day, sir.
This is a tough one, man. I was cautiously optimistic about the tournament chances of Colorado State, who had a better than expected season this year, went into the Mountain West tournament in Vegas with a really good matchup against a terrible Wyoming team. But tournament basketball, we see it all the time. CSU loses to a Wyoming team that was 2-16 in conference play.
Wow.
Rammies out of the Mountain West Conference tournament. Now, to be fair, in order to have made the NCAA
They're going to have to win the tournament.
They would have had to win the tournament,
Right.
which meant getting past, obviously, a juggernaut in San Diego State, which would have been, extremely difficult. But still, there was something about this Rams team coming down the stretch that you thought, hey, decent chance, but they get stunned. And what a sweet victory that must be for Wyoming, when you consider the rivalry.
Forget Wyoming. The sweet victory that must have been for Josh Allen. He probably had a video that he did. Because you know how much he can't stand the Rams, right?
That's true. Good point.
Right?
Good point.
I love his. One thing I really like about that kid?
That's
I did
awesome.
an event with him at the Super Bowl. I love his snarkiness.
Yeah.
He's got a certain snarkiness to him that I really like.
That's what rivalries are all about,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
All right, so the Rams are out. Next on the Morning Brew.
He wants to win. I've said that over and over again, and that's not going to change, and he's not going to change who he is. He's Odell, and he's proud to be who he is, and he wants to win.
There's Baker.
Well, there should be a qualifier in that.
Probably said that during the offseason last summer during one of their photo shoots.
That it should be a qualifier in there. He wants to win as long as he's the star.
Okay, but Odell Beckham Jr. is reportedly on the block. Come on.
No.
The Broncos are in need of upgrading their talent, right? Well, I'm not asking the Pouncey twins. I'm asking.
I'm with the Pouncey twins.
You're with the Pouncey twins?
I'm one of the Pouncey twins.
Even for and actually these numbers actually kind of surprised me because it just seemed like it was such a mess in Cleveland that it was such a mess, right? But end of the day, Odell Beckham Jr. had 74 catches for 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. And he's only going to be 28 this year. I mean, why are you whether it's Stephon Diggs or I'll even advocate OBJ? Come on. I mean, you want to. Everyone's talking about go draft Henry Ruggs or go draft some receiver that hasn't put a score to in the NFL bucket yet, and I'm giving you 2 guys that yes come with some baggage, but find me an NFL team made up of 53 guys that don't have guys on it with baggage. So, I mean, come on. OBJ running around, catching passes from Drew Lock?
No. I don't want that guy anywhere near this football team.
Really?
No.
You understand that he's been in the league 6 years.
Uh-huh.
Save for 2017 when he was hurt and he only played in 4 games. 5 of the 6 years, he has been over 1,000 yards receiving in every single year. 1,300, 1,400, 1,400, and then 1,000 and 1,000.
And he's got, what does he average, about 5 wins a year?
Whoa, hey, wait a minute. You're not going to gain an argument with me. I mean, it's still a dependent position.
Mm-hmm.
But everywhere I turn, people are like, we need receivers. We need receivers. We got to draft a receiver in the first round. We got to go out in free agency and sign a receiver, overpay some receiver in free agency. Just like you showed with the Boye deal. You got all these draft picks? Use them. Use them to bring in players that are established talents.
Mm-hmm. So
the
Giants didn't want him.
And worry about the diva factor later.
The Giants didn't want him. After 1 year in Cleveland, the Browns, who need talent, don't want him.
Okay, but we're gonna make our evaluations based on, well, if it's good enough for the Browns, it's good enough for me. Come on, they're the Browns.
You say it all the time. if the team that knew him best didn't want him.
Well, yeah, but I put an asterisk beside it when it's the Cleveland Browns.
All right, what about the Giants?
After 5 years with the Giants, I could see why maybe there was a need for a change of scenery.
Yeah, well, he's got a great big giant Instagram following, so that'd be really cool.
All right. Hey, Stephon Diggs, Odell Beckham Jr., I'll make room for him. I think it'd be a great move rather than drafting some, he runs a 4.3. He's electric. What's he done in the NFL? Well, nothing. Okay.
Woogie, 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 woogie.
Yeah, give me a guy.
He's
Give
electric.
me a guy who's got. And by the way, who's to say that these receivers that are going to come into the NFL won't become divas? It's the new diva position in the NFL. Who's to say that Henry Ruggs won't become a diva?